Today, we're going to talk about the absolute best paint for cabinets. And funny enough, it's technically not even a paint. Have you ever wondered how contractors can achieve that pristine factory finish, one that's almost as smooth as glass? We're going to talk about why you should be considering lacquer on your next cabinet refinishing project, whether you're a do-it-yourselfer or a professional contractor. There's plenty of incredible advantages when using it, but there's also a few catches that you need to be aware of before you dive in to the wonderful world of lacquer. Welcome back to The Paint People, where we talk about everything related to painting and decorating and everything else in between. With all of the paint products out there, it can sometimes be overwhelming to make a decision one way or another. And with the growing popularity of people wanting to paint their kitchen cabinets or even refinish some of their old furniture, more and more of you are asking what I find to be the best paint to use on cabinets specifically. For a good portion of you, I would probably steer you towards some of those tried and true products like Cabinet Coat, Sherwin-Williams Emerald Urethane, and maybe Benjamin Moore Advance. All of these I've used extensively and I highly recommend them. But even though those products are really good in my mind, I still wouldn't call them the best products to refinish cabinets with. That title would go to lacquer. Now, some of you may be a little confused because usually when we think of lacquers, oftentimes we associate them with a beautiful, clear top coat for bare wood. But many people would prefer their cabinets to have a more solid or opaque coloration, like the ones you see produced in spray shops and factories. Well, the thing is, lacquer is an immensely versatile product that can be manipulated to suit whatever your needs are. Whether you want to go clear, like L. Ron Hubbard, or paint, like the Paint People. Subscribe if you haven't already, by the way. That's the first reason I like lacquer so much. You can go clear, you can go not so clear, whatever you want. The second is the depth of color you can achieve. This is one of the big advantages with lacquer over paint, generally speaking. Maybe not the biggest to me, but it comes pretty close. Color matching with paint has its limitations because you're normally working with a white paint base that you're adding colorant into. Lacquer doesn't really have this problem, and that's why you'll find your favorite rock star's guitar to be coated with it. Even cars. Any color you can possibly think of, no matter how bright, vibrant, or dark it is, you can get it tinted into a lacquer. So if achieving beautifully rich, deep, and vibrant colors isn't exciting enough, the next big advantage of lacquer products is their potential for high levels of durability. Have you ever heard of that saying, do it nice or do it twice? Well, you might be needing to repaint your cabinets more than twice if you're using something that's not designed for that purpose. Lacquer is notoriously durable, especially if you're using the right product. The company that I tend to use most often is Canlac, and what's really cool about them is they have a wide product line that suits different workflows and are meant for certain people. Essentially, you have some lacquers that are easier to work with and the more advanced ones that offer you more durability. This is great because you get to decide how much washability you really require. So maybe if you're just painting a piece of furniture that doesn't really get touched too much and you just want a really painless experience finishing it, there's a product for that. Or on the flip side, if you're redoing your cabinets, which are going to be used on a daily basis, maybe you do want to invest in something that requires a few extra steps, but will give you more long-term usage. I'll just take a minute to roughly break down different categories of lacquers, which can differ from company to company. But typically speaking, you'll have your water-based lacquer, and I usually equate this to maybe being a step up from just a traditional enamel paint. The step up from that would be water-based urethane products, which take a little longer to dry generally, but you're rewarded with extra durability. Then, when you start incorporating things called catalysts, that's where lacquers start to show their clear durability advantages. A catalyst is a second component that's added into the lacquer to essentially start the chemical reaction of hardening. And this is where lacquer can become a bit trickier to use and time properly. The good news is there are lacquers that are pre-catalyzed in the factory, which means you're only going to be taking home a single can or a single component. So right before you apply the product, you're incorporating the two parts together yourself. You may be wondering, well, why would I even bother mixing the two products themselves if I could just get it pre-mixed? Post-catalyzed lacquers, so the ones you mix yourself, are going to be the strongest finishes you can apply within the lacquer line. So you can think of it this way. You're sort of being rewarded for taking that extra step of having the two components, mixing them together, and then applying it within a certain time frame. And the reward is you get insane durability. Now here's where we start to get into some of the considerations that one must make before starting your lacquer-based project. That beautifully smooth factory finish of lacquer is achieved through the use of multiple, very thin coats applied with a sprayer. What's great about lacquer is how quickly it dries, meaning you can apply multiple coats within a single day. But because of this fast drying time, the other side of the coin is I wouldn't recommend a brush and roller when applying lacquer onto your cabinets. I would not. You will need some knowledge of how to use a paint sprayer in order to leverage the advantages of lacquer. And although many websites online will tell you you gotta go with an HVLP sprayer, it's mandatory pretty much, in my opinion, you can still find quite a bit of success using just a traditional airless sprayer as long as you have some experience with it. This is why most professionals tend to favor lacquer over traditional paint because of how quickly you can complete projects while still having a fantastic end result at the end of it. You can finish spraying out an entire kitchen within a day, and that can include 4 or even 5 coats. On the flip side, if we use one of my old faithful products like Benjamin Moore Advanced, for example, which I do love to recommend, best practice, technically, is to apply 1 coat per day before recoating, so you know the product will set properly prior to that second coat. So if you're a professional contractor especially that is a little apprehensive about using lacquer, don't be, because you'll quickly learn to love it once you start using it. And if you're working with a contractor, ask if they're planning to use it for your cabinets to ensure you're going to end up with the best possible finish you can have. Click here to learn about this product, which is still highly recommended in my books.